The Thunder Soul emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Nexus system and faced the largest fleet ever assembled in galactic history. Over 2,000 Vortani ships darkened the stars with their massive hulls. The alien armada stretched across space like a moving continent of metal and death. The enemy fleet was arranged in perfect battle formation with the largest dreadnoughts at the center and smaller ships protecting the flanks. Every ship bristled with weapons that could destroy planets. The Vortani had brought everything they had for this final battle. Captain Tejo stood on the bridge of the Thunder Soul and looked at the impossible odds facing his ship. The human battleship was alone against an enemy force that outnumbered it 2,000 to 1. Any reasonable commander would have retreated, but humans had never been reasonable when it came to fighting for their survival. The Thunder Soul began its attack. Moving toward the center of the enemy formation like a single arrow shot at a mountain. The ship's stealth systems were useless against so many sensors, but the crew had never planned to hide. The Thunder Soul would fight in the open where everyone could see. Vortani opened fire, first launching thousands of missiles and energy beams at the approaching human ship. The volume of fire was so intense that it created a wall of light and destruction that seemed impossible to survive. But the Thunder Soul had been designed for exactly this kind of battle. Ship's new adaptive shielding system analyzed each incoming attack and adjusted its defenses accordingly. Plasma bolts were deflected by magnetic fields while kinetic projectiles were destroyed by point defense lasers. The Thunder Soul moved through the enemy fire like a dancer, avoiding raindrops. Engineer Jae-sung monitored the quantum resonance cannon as it charged to full power. The weapon was drawing energy from all of the ship's reactors, causing lights to dim throughout the vessel. The focusing crystals were glowing so brightly that they hurt to look at directly. The Thunder Soul fired its first shot, and an entire squadron of Vortani cruisers vanished in a flash of light. The quantum beam had been modified to spread its effect across multiple targets, destroying dozens of ships with a single blast. The aliens had never seen anything like it. Lieutenant Somin coordinated the ship's other weapon systems as they engaged targets throughout the enemy fleet. Antimatter torpedoes created miniature suns that consumed everything within kilometers, while gravitational weapons crushed alien ships like empty cans. The Thunder Soul's artificial intelligence, controlled by systems officer Minho, analyzed the enemy formation and identified the most dangerous targets. The AI could process information faster than any biological mind, allowing it to coordinate attacks with perfect precision. The Vortani fleet tried to surround the Thunder Soul, but the human ship was too fast and maneuverable. The vessel could change direction instantly using its advanced propulsion systems while maintaining devastating fire on enemy targets. Communications officer Heron intercepted alien transmissions and heard panic in the voices of enemy commanders. The Vortani had expected their overwhelming numbers to guarantee victory, but the Thunder Soul was destroying their ships faster than they could count. The quantum resonance cannon fired again, and the beams swept across the enemy formation like a sword cutting through paper. Hundreds of alien ships were destroyed in seconds, their matter converted back to pure energy. The weapon was operating beyond its design specifications. The Thunder Soul began to change as the battle reached its climax. The ship's hull started to glow with energy that was leaking from the quantum systems. The vessel was transforming itself into something that had never existed before. Engineer Jae-sung realized what was happening. The quantum resonance cannon was drawing so much power that it was affecting the ship's entire structure. The Thunder Soul was becoming a living weapon that existed partially outside normal space. The Vortani threw everything they had at the Thunder Soul. Planet-killing weapons that could crack worlds in half struck the human ship but caused no damage. Exotic matter bombs that could destroy entire star systems detonated harmlessly against the ship's shields. The Thunder Soul's crew understood that they were witnessing something unprecedented. The ship had evolved beyond its original design, becoming something that transcended traditional concepts of technology. The vessel was becoming pure will given physical form. Captain Tejo felt the ship responding to his thoughts as if it had become an extension of his own body. The Thunder Soul was no longer just a machine, it was the physical manifestation of human determination and refusal to surrender. The final phase of the battle began as the Thunder Soul prepared To use its ultimate weapon, the ship's entire structure began to reconfigure itself, becoming a massive focusing array for energies drawn from the quantum vacuum itself. The Vortani fleet realized too late what was happening. The Thundersoul was about to release enough energy to destroy every ship in the system and possibly create a new star. The human crew had chosen to sacrifice themselves to ensure that their enemies would never threaten humanity again. The Thundersoul's crew felt no fear as they prepared for the final moments of their lives. They had accomplished something that would be remembered for millennia. The ship that had started as humanity's first true battleship had become the vessel that would end the alien threat. Forever, the explosion that followed was visible from hundreds of light years away. The Thundersoul released all of its stored energy in one massive burst that created a new star system. With the ship at its center, the vessel had transformed itself into a sun that would burn for billions of years. The Vortani fleet was completely destroyed in the explosion. Not a single alien ship survived the incredible release of energy. The empire that had conquered hundreds of worlds was ended by the sacrifice of one human ship and its crew of 1,500 brave souls. The shockwave from the explosion reached across the galaxy, carrying news of humanity's victory. The Thundersoul had ended the Vortani threat, but at the ultimate cost. The ship and its crew had become martyrs who would inspire humanity for generations. The aftermath of the battle changed everything. The Vortani Empire collapsed completely as their remaining forces surrendered or fled to unknown regions of space. The species that had terrorized the galaxy for centuries was broken forever. Other alien civilizations looked at humanity with a mixture of awe and fear. The humans had proven that they would go to any lengths to protect their people and their worlds. The Thundersoul's sacrifice had established humanity as the galaxy's dominant power. The new star system, created by the Thundersoul, became a pilgrimage site for humans throughout the galaxy. The system was named Thunder's Rest, and it served as a reminder of what humans could accomplish when they refused to surrender. Admiral Kyungsik, who had survived the battle aboard another human ship, became the first human to be appointed to the Cosmic Council. The old warrior carried the memory of the Thundersoul's crew with him as he helped establish humanity's place among the galaxy's great powers. The quantum resonance cannon technology was never rebuilt. The weapon had been too dangerous and too costly. The Thundersoul's sacrifice had shown that some victories required everything that could be given. Emperor Vashtor stood in the war room of his palace on the Vortani homeworld of Kraxos, surrounded by holographic displays showing the disasters that had befallen his empire. The ancient alien ruler had lived for over 400 years and had conquered more worlds than any other being in galactic history. But now his empire was crumbling because of one human ship. The Emperor was massive, even by Vortani standards, standing almost 3 meters tall with 4 powerful arms and skin that was dark purple with silver markings. His eyes glowed red with anger as he studied the reports from across his territory. Human fleets were attacking Vortani forces everywhere and winning every battle fleet. Admiral Morvik Tal knelt before the Emperor. With his head bowed in shame, the military leader had commanded Vortani forces for over 2 centuries, but he had never faced defeats like this. The humans were using weapons and tactics that made traditional warfare obsolete. The Emperor's voice boomed across the war room as he spoke. Your fleets have been humiliated by a single human ship. How is this possible? The Vortani Empire has conquered hundreds of worlds and enslaved billions of beings. Now you tell me that we are losing to creatures who only learned to travel between stars a few hundred years ago. Admiral Morvik Tal tried to explain that the humans had developed technology that was far beyond anything the Vortani possessed. The Thundersoul's quantum resonance cannon could destroy entire fleets with single shots, while human defensive systems made their ships nearly invulnerable to alien weapons. But the Emperor did not want to hear explanations. He wanted results. The massive alien ruler ordered the mobilization of every available warship in the Empire. Reserve fleets that had been stationed on conquered worlds were recalled to active duty. Construction yards worked around the clock to build new vessels. The war machine of the Vortani Empire had been dormant for decades. After countless easy victories against weaker species, now it roared back to life with terrible purpose. Factory worlds increased production of weapons and ammunition while military academies graduated new officers ahead of schedule. Intelligence Officer Beora detected the massive fleet movements from her station aboard the Thundersoul. The aliens were gathering their forces throughout their territory, preparing for what appeared to be a final desperate battle. Sensor readings showed thousands of Vortani ships moving toward assembly points. Captain Tejo studied the intelligence reports with growing concern. The Vortani Empire was mobilizing everything they had for one last attack. The aliens were willing to risk their entire fleet to destroy the Thundersoul and restore their reputation as the galaxy's dominant military power. The human battleship had become the primary target of every alien commander. The Thundersoul represented everything the Vortani hated about humanity. The ship showed that humans could build weapons that were superior to alien technology. It proved that numerical superiority was not enough to guarantee victory. Admiral Kyungsik called a meeting of all senior officers to discuss the situation. The old warrior looked tired as he explained that the Vortani were preparing to send their entire fleet against the Thundersoul. The aliens wanted to destroy the ship that had shattered their empire's invincibility. The crew of the Thundersoul understood that they were about to face the ultimate test. Thousands of alien ships would be coming to destroy them. The odds were worse than anything they had faced before, but they were ready to fight. The ship had been designed for exactly this kind of battle. Engineer Jae-sung worked with his team to upgrade the Thundersoul's weapon systems using new technologies that had been developed based on combat data from previous battles. The quantum resonance cannon received improved targeting systems that would allow it to engage multiple targets simultaneously. The defensive systems were enhanced with adaptive shielding that could automatically adjust to different types of enemy weapons. The ship's hull was reinforced with new armor plating made from materials that could absorb and redirect energy. Attack systems Officer Minho updated the ship's artificial intelligence with new tactical programs that had been developed by human military scientists. The AI could now predict enemy movements and coordinate defensive measures within human precision. The Thundersoul's crew prepared for the battle that would determine the fate of humanity. If they lost, the aliens would regain their confidence and launch new attacks against human worlds. If they won, the Vortani Empire would be broken forever. Lieutenant So Min monitored communications from across the galaxy and saw that other human ships were also preparing for battle. The Thundersoul would not fight alone, but it would bear the heaviest burden. The aliens wanted to destroy the ship that had become a symbol of human power. The Vortani fleet began assembling in the Nexus system, a strategic location that controlled several important hyperspace routes the aliens chose. This system because it would force the Thundersoul to fight in open space where numerical superiority would matter most. Long-range sensors showed the incredible size of the enemy force. Over 2,000 Vortani ships were gathering, including massive dreadnoughts that had been pulled from reserve fleets. The aliens had never assembled so many ships in one place before. Captain Tejo made the decision that would echo through galactic history rather than wait for reinforcements or try to avoid battle. He chose to engage the enemy fleet directly. The Thundersoul would face impossible odds alone because that was what humans did when confronted with overwhelming force. The ship's crew understood the significance of their captain's decision. They were about to fight the largest space battle in galactic history. The outcome would determine whether humanity would rise to dominate the galaxy or be destroyed by alien forces. Navigator Wu Jin plotted a course toward the Nexus system. While the crew made final preparations, the Thundersoul would arrive at the battle site in 18 hours, which gave them time to complete all upgrades and run final system checks. The ship moved through hyperspace toward its destiny, carrying the hopes and dreams of humanity. The Thundersoul had become more than just a warship. It was the physical manifestation of human determination and ingenuity. The ship would either prove that humans deserved to rule the galaxy or die trying. As the Thundersoul traveled toward the greatest battle in galactic history, its crew knew that they were about to make history. The ship that had started as humanity's first true battleship was about to become the vessel that would determine the future of all intelligent life in the galaxy. The aliens thought they could destroy the Thundersoul through overwhelming numbers, but they had forgotten the most important lesson about humans. When faced with impossible odds, humans do not surrender, they find a way to win. News of the Thunder Soul's victory traveled across the galaxy faster than any ship could fly. The quantum communication networks that connected every civilized world buzzed with reports of the impossible battle. A single human ship had destroyed an entire Vortani fleet without taking damage. The story seemed so incredible that many aliens thought it was propaganda, but the evidence was undeniable. Sensor readings from a dozen different sources confirmed that the Thunder Soul had annihilated 47 enemy vessels in less than 2 hours. The quantum resonance cannon had erased ships from existence using technology that no alien scientist could explain. The humans had achieved the impossible. The Zelkari Trade Federation held an emergency meeting on their homeworld of Zephyros. The Zelkari were a species of tall, blue-skinned beings who controlled much of the galaxy's commerce. They had been secretly supporting the Vortani Empire with weapons and supplies because they thought the aliens would win the war. Chancellor Veltar looked at the battle reports with growing horror. The Thunder Soul had used weapons that were centuries ahead of anything the Zelkari possessed. The human ship could apparently destroy entire fleets by itself, which meant that every species in the galaxy was now vulnerable to human attack. The Zelkari immediately sent urgent messages to Earth requesting peace negotiations. They offered to pay huge amounts of money to avoid conflict with humanity. The species that had once ignored human trade requests now begged for mercy from the same people they had dismissed as primitive. Ambassador Sunghi found herself overwhelmed with requests for meetings in her office on Earth Station. Alpha representatives from dozens of alien species wanted to establish diplomatic relations with humanity. The same aliens who had refused to answer human communications for years now waited in line to speak with human diplomats. The Rokari hegemony, which controlled a large section of the galaxy's northern spiral arm, sent a fleet of 50 ships to Earth as a gesture of friendship. The Rokari were a warrior species that respected strength above all else. They had watched the Thunder Soul's battle and recognized that humans were now the most powerful military force in the galaxy. The Nerian Collective, a group of hive-minded insect beings, offered to share their advanced medical technology with humanity in exchange for protection from other alien species. The Nerians had been neutral in most conflicts, but they realized that staying neutral would not help them if the humans decided they were enemies. The Cosmic Council convened an emergency session at their headquarters on the neutral world of Concordia. Representatives from over 300 species gathered to discuss the implications of humanity's display of power. The council chamber had never seen so many aliens in one place before. High Counselor Zara Beth of the Altarian Republic called the meeting to order. The Altarians were an ancient species that had helped establish the Cosmic Council thousands of years ago. They were known for their wisdom and diplomatic skills, but even they were shocked by what humans had accomplished. The debate began immediately. The Vortani representative ambassador Krelvan demanded that the council take action against humanity for using illegal weapons. The alien argued that the quantum resonance cannon violated several galactic treaties about weapons of mass destruction, but other species disagreed. The Manthari Empire pointed out that the Vortani had been attacking human colonies for years without any interference from the council. The Manthari were a proud species that had fought many wars, and they respected the humans for defending themselves so effectively. The Solonian Confederacy offered a different perspective. They suggested that humanity should be invited to join the Cosmic Council as a full member. The Solonians had been studying human culture and technology for decades, and they believed that humans could bring fresh ideas to galactic civilization. Dr. Yan Su, the Thunder Soul's chief scientist, was invited to address the council via quantum communication. She explained that human weapons were designed for defensive purposes. Only the quantum resonance cannon and other advanced systems had been developed to protect human colonies from alien attacks. The doctor's speech was broadcast across the galaxy, and millions of beings watched as she described human technology in simple terms. She explained that humans had always been innovators who solved problems through creativity and hard work. The weapons on the Thunder Soul were just the latest example of human ingenuity. Many alien species were impressed by Dr. Yan Su's presentation. She spoke with confidence and knowledge that showed humans were not just good at building weapons, but also understood the science behind them. This was very different from other species who often copied technology without understanding how it worked. The Vortani Empire's reaction to the council meeting was swift and angry. Emperor Vashtor issued a statement declaring that humanity would be destroyed regardless of what other species thought. The Empire would not be humiliated by a young species that had barely left its home planet, but the Emperor's threats fell on deaf ears. Many alien species were already switching sides and offering support to humanity. The Catherian Assembly voted to provide humans with rare metals needed for advanced technology. The Phoenixy Syndicate offered to share their knowledge of hyperspace. Navigation Captain Tejo received reports about the changing political situation, while the Thundersoul patrolled the border regions. The ship had become a symbol of human power, and its mere presence was enough to make alien fleets retreat rather than risk battle. The Thundersoul's crew found themselves celebrities throughout. Human space news reporters wanted to interview them, and military academies wanted to study their tactics. Captain Tejo allowed some interviews but insisted that the crew focus on their mission rather than fame. Lieutenant Somin monitored alien communications and noticed that many species were now using human tactical doctrines in their own military planning. The Thundersoul had not just won a battle, it had changed the way warfare was conducted throughout the galaxy. The economic effects of the battle were immediate. Human trade goods suddenly became very popular as alien species wanted to buy products from the people who had built the Thundersoul. Human colonies that had been struggling to survive now found themselves wealthy. As aliens competed to establish trade relationships, the Terran Stock Exchange saw massive increases in the value of military contractors and technology companies. Investors realized that human weapons technology was decades ahead of alien systems. Companies that had been working on advanced projects suddenly found themselves with unlimited funding. Engineer Jaesung became the most famous human in the galaxy after news reports revealed that he had designed the quantum resonance cannon. Universities across human space offered him teaching positions, while alien scientists begged for the chance to study his work. The Thundersoul continued its patrol mission, but now it was joined by ships from allied alien species. The Manthari Empire sent 3 cruisers to escort the human battleship, while the Solonian Confederacy provided intelligence about enemy movements. The psychological impact of the Thundersoul's victory was even more important than the military results. Alien species that had considered humans to be primitive now spoke of them with respect and fear. The idea that humans were weak had been completely destroyed. Young humans across the galaxy were inspired to join the military or study science and engineering. The Thundersoul had shown that humans could achieve anything through determination and hard work. Recruitment centers reported record numbers of volunteers. The Thundersoul had proven that humanity deserved a place among the galaxy's great powers. The ship had not conquered through fear or oppression, but through demonstrating superior technology and tactical thinking. This was a very different approach from how other species had risen to power. As the Thundersoul moved through space, it carried with it the hopes and dreams of humanity. The ship represented everything that humans valued: innovation, courage, and the refusal to surrender in the face of impossible odds. The galaxy was entering a new age, where humanity would play a leading role. The Thundersoul had announced humanity's arrival as a major power, and the echo of its weapons would be heard across the stars for generations to come. The quantum resonance cannon fired with a sound that seemed to shake the very fabric of space itself. The weapon released a beam of pure energy that was brighter than a star and more focused than a laser. The beam struck the Vortani flagship Devourer of Worlds exactly in the center where the command bridge was located. What happened next defied everything the aliens thought they knew about physics. The massive enemy ship did not explode like normal ships do when they are destroyed. Instead, it simply stopped existing. The quantum beam broke down every atom in the flagship, turning solid matter back into pure energy. The Devourer of Worlds vanished completely, leaving only empty space where moments before there had been a ship longer than a city block. The remaining Vortani ships stopped firing and just stared at the empty space where their flagship had been. Fleet Commander Grixtal was gone along with 3,000 alien crew members. The most powerful warship in the Vortani fleet had been erased from existence by a single shot from the human weapon. Captain Tejo felt grim satisfaction as he watched the enemy reaction. The aliens were learning what it meant to fight humans who had been pushed too far. The Thundersoul had fired its most powerful weapon, and the results were even better than the engineers had hoped. The quantum resonance cannon worked perfectly. Lieutenant Somin began coordinating with other human ships that had been hidden throughout the star system. The Thundersoul was not fighting alone. Smaller human vessels emerged from behind asteroids and gas clouds like wolves coming out of the forest. Their crews had been waiting for this moment for weeks. Pilot Dong Hyan commanded a fast attack ship called the Star Striker that had been hidden near the fourth planet. His ship was much smaller than the Thundersoul, but it carried new weapons that had been developed specifically for this battle. The Star Striker moved quickly through space, dodging alien fire while launching missiles that could track their targets. Across vast distances, weapons specialist Su Jin operated the gun systems on another human ship called the Iron Fist. Her job was to provide covering fire for the Thundersoul while it recharged its main weapon. The Iron Fist carried dozens of rail guns that could fire metal slugs at incredible speeds. The weapons were simple but deadly effective against alien armor. The Vortani fleet was in complete chaos. The aliens had never faced coordinated attacks from multiple directions before. They were used to fighting enemies who would meet them in traditional battle lines. Now they were surrounded by human ships that appeared and disappeared like ghosts. The Thundersoul continued its deadly work, using different weapons to show the aliens what human technology could do. Plasma cannons melted through alien hulls like butter, while antimatter torpedoes created miniature suns that destroyed everything within kilometers. The human battleship was like a mobile weapons laboratory, testing new ways to destroy enemies. Engineer Jae-sung monitored the quantum resonance cannon as it began recharging for another shot. The weapon needed several minutes to build up enough energy to fire again, but the Thundersoul had many other weapons to use while waiting. The ship was designed to fight entire fleets by itself. The remaining Vortani ships tried to retreat, but Captain Tejo had anticipated this move. The Thundersoul activated its interdiction field, a new technology that prevented enemy ships from entering hyperspace. The field created a distortion in space that trapped all the alien vessels in the star system. The aliens found themselves unable to escape. No matter how hard they tried, their hyperspace drives would not work while the interdiction field was active. They were trapped in the system with a human battleship that was systematically destroying their fleet. Ship by ship, the Thundersoul moved through the battle like a predator that had cornered its prey. The human ship was faster and more maneuverable than anything the aliens had ever seen. Its engines could accelerate it to incredible speeds, while its maneuvering thrusters let it change direction instantly. Communications Officer Hayrim intercepted alien transmissions and heard panic in their voices. The Vortani were calling for reinforcements, but no help was coming. Other human fleets were attacking Vortani forces throughout the galaxy. The aliens were finally learning what it felt like to be outnumbered and outgunned. The Thundersoul used its gravity manipulation system to crush an alien. ICR like a tin can. The weapon created a localized gravitational field that compressed the enemy ship until its hull collapsed. The aliens inside were killed instantly as their ship was reduced to a ball of twisted metal. Another group of Vortani ships tried to ram the Thundersoul, hoping to damage it with suicide attacks, but the human battleship was protected by shields that could deflect objects moving at incredible speeds. The alien ships bounced off the shields like insects hitting a window. The quantum resonance cannon finished recharging, and Captain Tejo selected his next target. A group of 5 Vortani destroyers had formed up together, trying to combine their firepower against the Thundersoul. The human weapon fired again, and all 5 ships vanished in a flash of light. The battle was becoming a demonstration of human technological superiority. The Thundersoul was not just winning, it was showing the galaxy that humans had developed weapons and tactics that made traditional warfare obsolete. The aliens were fighting with yesterday's technology against tomorrow's weapons. Engineer Jae-sung received reports from across the galaxy. Similar battles were taking place in dozens of star systems. Human forces were achieving victory after victory against alien fleets that had seemed invincible just hours Before, the Thunder Soul had been the first to attack, but it was part of a coordinated offensive. The remaining Vortani ships were running out of options. They could not escape because of the interdiction field. They could not fight because their weapons were useless against human technology. They could not surrender because humans had learned not to trust alien promises. Captain Tejo decided to end the battle quickly. The Thunder Soul had proven its point and demonstrated human capabilities. Now it was time to finish off the remaining enemies and move on to the next target. The ship had other battles to fight and other alien fleets too. Destroy the Thunder Soul fired all its weapons at once, creating a light show that could be seen from across the solar system. The remaining Vortani ships were destroyed in seconds, their hulls torn apart by the concentrated firepower of humanity's most advanced warship. As the last enemy ship exploded, Captain Tejo looked at the debris field that had once been a powerful alien fleet. The Thunder Soul had destroyed 47 enemy vessels without taking significant damage. The human ship was barely scratched, while the entire Vortani force had been annihilated. The battle was over, but the war was just beginning. The Thunder Soul had fired the first shot in what would become humanity's rise to galactic dominance. The aliens had learned too late that humans were not the weak prey. They had thought the galaxy would never be the same. Again, Lieutenant So-min reported that news of the victory was already spreading to other star systems. The Thunder Soul had become a legend in just a few hours. The ship that had seemed impossible to build had proven that humans could achieve anything. When they set their minds to it, the Thunder Soul began moving toward its next target, ready to continue the fight. The galaxy was about to learn that humanity's thunder would echo across the stars for generations to come. The Vortani flagship Devourer of Worlds dropped out of hyperspace near the Kepler 442 system like a massive dark cloud blocking the sun. The ship was enormous even by alien standards. It was shaped like a giant spear with sharp edges and glowing red lights along its hull. Behind it came dozens of smaller warships, all painted in the dark purple colors of the Vortani Empire. The alien fleet spread out in perfect formation, ready to destroy another human colony fleet. Commander Grikstal stood on the bridge of his flagship, feeling very confident. He was a tall alien with gray skin and 4 arms. His species had been conquering other worlds for over 1,000 years. They had destroyed hundreds of civilizations and enslaved millions of beings. The Vortani had never lost a major battle because they always brought overwhelming force to every fight. The alien commander looked at his tactical screens and saw the human colony world spinning peacefully below. Intelligence reports said the planet had only basic defenses and a small population of farmers and miners. The humans would probably surrender without a fight like most species did when they saw the size of a Vortani fleet. If they did not surrender, then the aliens would simply burn their cities and take the survivors as slaves. Grikstal had fought humans before and found them to be brave but stupid. They had good technology for such a young species, but they were always outnumbered. The aliens had conquered dozens of human worlds using the same tactics. Every time they would appear in overwhelming numbers, demand surrender, and then attack when the humans refused to give up. The Vortani sensors swept the system looking for enemy ships, but found nothing. The asteroid belt between the 3rd and 4th planets showed normal readings, just rocks and ice floating in space. The aliens did not know that the Thunder Soul was hiding among those asteroids using advanced stealth technology that made it invisible to their sensors. Communications Officer Hayren sat at her station aboard the Thunder Soul, watching the alien fleet on her screens. She counted 47 enemy ships, including the massive flagship. The aliens were moving in the same predictable pattern they always use, spreading out to surround the planet before beginning their attack. Captain Tejo studied the enemy formation and saw exactly what he expected. The Vortani had not changed their tactics in centuries. They relied on fear and overwhelming numbers to win battles. They had grown lazy and predictable because no one had ever challenged them successfully. The Thunder Soul had been waiting in the asteroid belt for 2 days. The ship was completely hidden behind a large asteroid that blocked it from enemy sensors. The crew had been at battle stations for hours waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Everyone knew that surprise was their greatest weapon against such a large enemy force. Lieutenant So-min monitored alien communications and heard the usual threats and demands. The Vortani were ordering the human colonists to Surrender within 1 hour or face complete destruction. The aliens always gave the same ultimatum because it usually worked. Other species would see the size of the Vortani fleet and give up without fighting, but humans were different. Captain Tejo had read reports from every human colony that had faced alien attacks. None had ever surrendered even when facing impossible odds. Humans would fight until the very end, even if it meant certain death. This stubborn refusal to quit had surprised many alien species, but it had also cost many human lives. The Thunder Soul began moving slowly out of its hiding place. The massive battleship emerged from behind the asteroid like a predator stalking its prey. The ship was completely dark with no lights showing. Only the faint glow of its engines could be seen from behind. The stealth systems kept it hidden from enemy sensors even as it moved into attack position. Engineer Jae-sung worked frantically in the ship's core, making final adjustments to the quantum resonance cannon. The weapon was charging up slowly, drawing power from all 4 of the ship's nuclear reactors. The focusing crystals were glowing brighter as more energy flowed through them. The weapon had never been fired at full power before, and no one knew exactly what would happen. Navigator Wu Jin plotted the best attack course that would let the Thunder Soul hit as many enemy ships as possible. The alien fleet was spread out in a defensive formation, but they were all facing toward the planet. They were not expecting an attack from behind where the Thunder Soul was hiding. Captain Tejo waited until the Thunder Soul was in perfect position, then gave the order to drop stealth systems. The massive human battleship suddenly appeared on every Vortani sensor screen like a ghost materializing from empty space. The alien fleet immediately went to full alert, but it was already too late. The Thunder Soul was unlike any human ship the Vortani had ever seen. It was 3 times larger than their biggest dreadnoughts, and covered with weapon systems that did not match any known human technology. The ship's hull was made of materials that seemed to absorb sensor beams, making it hard to get accurate readings. Fleet Commander Grixtal stared at his screens in shock. Where had this massive human ship come from? How had it gotten so close without being detected? The alien commander had fought humans many times, but he had never seen anything like the Thunder Soul. The ship was clearly built for one purpose, only to destroy enemy fleets. The Vortani tried to turn their ships to face this new threat, but the Thunder Soul was already attacking the human battleship, fired every weapon it had in one massive coordinated strike. Plasma cannons sent bolts of superheated gas across space, while missile launchers fired hundreds of nuclear warheads. Railguns accelerated metal slugs to incredible speeds, turning them into devastating projectiles. The first volley from the Thunder Soul hit the Vortani fleet like a hammer blow. 3 escort ships were destroyed instantly, their hulls torn apart by weapons that exceeded all known destructive power. The alien shields, which had protected them against human weapons before, collapsed under the incredible assault. More weapons fired from the Thunder Soul as it continued its attack. Laser cannons cut through alien armor like paper, while particle beams turned metal into radioactive gas. The human ship moved through the battle with deadly grace, dodging return fire while maintaining devastating accuracy. The Vortani fleet tried to fight back, but their weapons seemed weak compared to the Thunder Soul. Their plasma cannons bounced off the human ship's shields, while their missiles were destroyed by defensive systems. Before they could reach their target, the aliens had never faced weapons technology. This advanced fleet commander Grixtal realized that his fleet was being destroyed by a single human ship. The Thunder Soul was cutting through his forces like they were made of cardboard. The alien commander had conquered dozens of worlds, but he had never seen anything like this. The humans had built a weapon that could destroy entire fleets. The Thunder Soul continued its deadly work, moving through the alien formation like a shark among fish. Every shot found its target, and every target was destroyed. The human ship seemed to know exactly where each alien vessel would be before it got there. The battle was becoming a massacre. Engineer Jae-sung reported that the quantum resonance cannon was almost ready to fire. The weapon was drawing so much power that other systems were shutting down to compensate. The focusing crystals were glowing white hot, and the power conduits were straining under the incredible energy load. Captain Tejo selected his target carefully. The Vortani flagship was the largest and most dangerous ship in the enemy fleet. If he could destroy it, the rest of the alien force would probably retreat. The Thunder Soul moved into position and prepared to fire the most powerful weapon humans had ever created. The quantum resonance cannon was ready to show the galaxy what happened when someone made the mistake of underestimating humanity. Captain Tejo stood on the bridge of the Thunder Soul and looked out at the stars through the huge window. The massive ship moved slowly through empty space like a sleeping giant. Its dark metal hull was so black that it seemed to eat the light from nearby stars. The ship was longer than 10 city blocks and wider than 5. The Thunder Soul was not just any warship. It was humanity's first real battle monster, built for one purpose only: to destroy enemies in deep space. The bridge was quiet. Except for the soft hum of computers and the gentle beep of sensors, Captain Tejo was a tall man with short black hair and serious eyes. He had been fighting aliens for 15 years and had seen too many human colonies burn. He wore the dark blue uniform of Earth Space Command with silver stars on his collar that showed his rank. His hands were rough from years of work, and his face had small scars from old battles. Lieutenant Somin sat at her station watching screens full of alien messages and human reports. She was young but very smart. Her fingers moved fast across the glowing buttons as she listened to radio signals from across the galaxy. The news was always bad these days. The Vortani Empire had been attacking human worlds for 2 years now. They came with huge fleets and powerful weapons. They burned cities and took people as slaves. The aliens thought humans were weak and stupid. At another station sat Navigator Wu Jin. He was studying star maps and planning routes through space. His job was to make sure the Thunder Soul could move without being seen by enemy scouts. The ship had special systems that could hide it from alien sensors, but only if they stayed in the right places, like asteroid fields or near gas clouds. Engineer Jae-sung was deep inside the ship, working on the most secret weapon humans had ever built. The quantum resonance cannon was hidden in the center of the Thunder Soul, where the thickest armor protected it. The weapon was so new that only 5 people in the whole galaxy knew how it worked. Jae-sung had helped design it, and he was the only person who could fix it. If something went wrong, the cannon worked by taking energy from the ship's nuclear reactors and focusing it through special crystals. The crystals were made from materials found only on Earth, and they could focus energy in ways that alien science did not understand. When the weapon fired, it would create a beam that could cut through any known armor or shield. The problem was that it had never been tested in real combat. Admiral Kyung-sik walked onto the bridge and everyone stood up to salute him. He was an old man with gray hair and deep lines around his eyes. He had been fighting aliens since before most of the crew were born. His uniform had many medals and ribbons that showed all the battles he had won and lost. He moved slowly, but his mind was still sharp. The admiral looked at the tactical display that showed enemy fleet movements across the galaxy. Red dots marked Vortani ships and yellow dots showed human vessels. The red dots were everywhere now. The aliens had more ships than humans could count. They were pushing deeper into human space every day, destroying everything in there. Path-Admiral Kyung-sik spoke in a quiet voice that made everyone listen carefully. The Vortani think they know how humans fight, he said. They have conquered dozens of other species using the same tactics over and over. They send huge fleets to scare their enemies, then they demand surrender. When the aliens refuse, they attack with overwhelming force. It has worked for them for hundreds of years. But humans are different, the admiral continued. We do not give up when facing impossible odds. We learn from every battle. We adapt our weapons and tactics. We find new ways to fight even when everything seems hopeless. The Vortani have made one big mistake. They think we will fight like all the other species they have conquered. They are wrong, Lieutenant. Somin reported that long-range sensors had detected 3 large Vortani fleets moving toward Earth's outer colonies. Each fleet had hundreds of ships, including massive dreadnoughts that could destroy planets. The aliens were planning their biggest attack yet. They wanted to end the war by capturing or destroying the most important human worlds. The Thunder Soul had been waiting for this moment for months. The ship had been built in secret at hidden shipyards far from Earth. The aliens did not know it existed. Human intelligence had worked hard to keep the Thunder Soul a secret. Even most humans did not know about the ship. Only the highest military commanders knew what it could do. Captain Tejo studied the enemy fleet positions on his screen. The aliens were following predictable patterns just like always. They would jump their ships to the edge of each star system, then move slowly toward their targets. They expected human ships to meet them in traditional battle formations. The Vortani had fought this way for so long that they could not imagine any other approach, but the Thundersoul would not fight like other human ships. It would not meet the aliens in open battle, where numbers mattered most. Instead, it would use stealth and surprise to get close to enemy fleets. Then it would strike with weapons the aliens had never seen before. The plan was risky, but it was the only way to win against such overwhelming odds. Engineer Jae-sung sent a message from the ship's core. The quantum resonance cannon was ready for combat testing. All systems were working perfectly, the focusing crystals were aligned, and the power conduits were stable. The weapon could fire at full power whenever the captain gave the order. The bridge crew felt nervous excitement. They had trained for this moment for years, but they all knew that one mistake could mean death for everyone on the ship. The Thundersoul carried 1,500 crew members. Each person was an expert in their job. The ship needed the best people because it would be fighting against impossible odds. Communications officer Rin reported that she was receiving messages from human colonies begging for help. The aliens were getting closer to populated worlds. Millions of people were depending on the Thundersoul to stop the invasion. The weight of that responsibility felt heavy on everyone aboard the ship. Captain Taeho looked at his crew and saw determination in their eyes. These were not just soldiers. They were the best humans could offer. Each person had volunteered for this mission knowing they might not survive. They were fighting not just for Earth, but for the future of human civilization. The Thundersoul began moving toward the first enemy fleet. The ship used its stealth systems to stay hidden as it traveled through space. The alien fleet was 3 days away at maximum speed. The crew used this time to make final preparations and check all systems one last time as the ship moved through the darkness. Captain Taeho thought about all the human colonies that had been destroyed. He remembered the reports of burned cities and captured families. He thought about the children who would never see their parents again because of alien attacks. The Thundersoul would make the aliens pay for every human life they had taken. The quiet before the storm was ending. The Thundersoul was about to show the galaxy what humans could do when they were pushed too far. The aliens thought they were hunting sheep, but they were about to discover they had awakened sleeping wolves.